a report in the Wall Street Journal making claims which Donald Trump denies on a letter for his birthday has further added to the issue. But generally speaking, what we have is a big political problem for Donald Trump, and perhaps one of the most significant since he returned to the White House, because in other issues he's managed to brush it off, often getting his party to back him on things like tariffs when they don't naturally like the issue. Here, his supporters, Republicans, parts of the MAGA base, are showing no signs that they plan to drop this anytime soon.
Now, during his presidential campaign, Donald Trump said he would declassify the Jeffrey Epstein files, but now he appears less keen, despite calls from his MAGA core supporters for the government to release all documents it has. Last night, the president was forced into a concession and asked the Attorney General to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony, but all the time making clear his position on questions about those files.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. Are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
Yes, people are still talking about it, especially his base of supporters. And even more so today, our colleagues at the Wall Street Journal have revealed that Donald Trump sent Jeffrey Epstein a saucy letter as part of a 50th birthday present organised by Ghislaine Maxwell. Let's speak now to Katy Balls, Washington editor of The Times and Sunday Times. Katy Balls, well, what a story. Donald Trump says the Wall Street Journal report is a hoax. The letters are fake. He's threatening to sue. What are you making of it all?
Yeah, there's a lot of fury in Washington, D.C. this Friday, and a good portion of that is coming from Donald Trump, the president himself, who I think had really hoped that this story about Epstein generally, ever since 2 weeks ago, which is when this really kicked off again, and the FBI, along with the Department of Justice, released a memo in which they said that Jeffrey Epstein had committed suicide and there was no client list. That's created a huge row, and 2 weeks on, it is showing no signs of dying down. As you say, a report in the Wall Street Journal making claims which Donald Trump denies on a letter for his birthday has further added to the issue. But generally speaking, what we have is a big political problem for Donald Trump, and perhaps one of the most significant since he returned to the White House, because in other issues he's managed to brush it off, often getting his party to back him on things like tariffs when they don't naturally like the issue. Here, his supporters, Republicans, parts of the MAGA base, are showing no signs that they plan to drop this anytime soon.
Yeah, and he does seem to have gone to war with his base over this. Would he be agreeing to release these files, do you think, Katy, if his name was wrapped up in them?
Well, I think that's a tricky one, because also when you look at what perhaps the names in these files could be. Now, some of the names in the files could just be because they had links and so forth. So just because your name is there doesn't necessarily mean some of the things that some of the supporters believe it would mean. So it certainly, I think you can say, complicates matters. The fact that Donald Trump has this pre-existing friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, and there's lots of photos of the pair together. Now, we know that Donald Trump cut off that friendship. The friendship was not going at the time he was back in the White House and so forth, and particularly with these criminal case proceedings. But it does make this all a little bit more difficult for Donald Trump, because people can say, well, have you got an ulterior motive for not releasing these? Is this a legal issue? And then also, why if the Trump administration does not want to release them, or that's been the previous line, did key members in the administration play so much into some of these conspiracy theories during the campaign while the Republicans, were out of the White House?
And Donald Trump also has history with the Wall Street Journal, doesn't he? And they are standing by their story, and now he's threatening to sue.
Yes, and the Wall Street Journal have stood by their story, as you would expect after publishing it. Donald Trump has been pretty critical of the Wall Street Journal in recent months, obviously prior to that too, often outlining it as too critical to his government. I don't think it will come as a surprise to the Wall Street Journal that Donald Trump is not happy with this story and there is going to be potential legal action. The US president obviously has a long history of suing publications over various stories and claims. So this is one that is going to take some time to shake out. But I think if you publish a story like this, you can expect, if you're glorious response from the US president. It's just, what does this now look if it really does go to court? Is that going to be uncomfortable for Donald Trump to enter court in this way? And he might have to release lots of information too if you really are going to take it there.
And what are the Democrats making of all of this?
Rubbing their hands with glee, I think, would be one way of putting it. You've had a Democrat Party that's really struggled to land a blow on Donald Trump since he has returned to the White House. On lots of issues, they've tried to create rows that would split the Republican Party, tariffs, etc. But they haven't really had too much success, they will often say themselves. Here, you have an issue which makes Donald Trump very uncomfortable. You have some Democrats talking about the Jeffrey Epstein files in a way that they did not talk about them a few years ago, saying, release the files. The same Democrats who previously told us they were conspiracies. But I think there's certainly a feeling that they're finding their ruthless streak and pushing this row for everything it's worth. The question, I think, really is the net result short-term pain for the US president, which I think we can see over the past week or so, or does it actually become something bigger where it starts to affect poll ratings, voters' votes? I think the jury is out on that bit still.
Katy Balls, thank you so much for talking to us. There is such a lot to this story, and we will keep watching it.
Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of his death?
Yeah, sure. If
Hey, Pam, could I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively, the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
Mr. President.